Hello. My name is Isabella, and I'm a doctor. For 20 years, I've dedicated my life to saving others. Every minute of my day is planned to the second, seeing patients, performing complex surgeries, saving lives. I always believed that my work was my greatest mission. I thought I understood everything about life. After all, I studied the human body. I understood how the heart, lungs, and brain work. It seemed like science could explain everything. Or, maybe not. Looking back now, I realize I was certain of one thing: everything could be measured, diagnosed, fixed. But what if it couldn't? What if there was something greater, something beyond what I could see and touch? I never thought I would one day find myself on the brink of life and death. That I would become the patient my colleagues were fighting to save. But that's exactly what happened. And that day changed my life forever. Today, I want to share a story that transformed me to my core. What happened when my heart stopped cannot be explained. But it was more real than anything I had ever known. I met Jesus. Yes, you heard that right. I saw him. And what he showed me wasn't just a revelation. It was a message I am compelled to share with you. Why did I decide to tell this story? Because I know this could change your life just as it changed mine. Maybe right now, you're full of doubt, exhaustion, or feel trapped in an endless cycle of problems. I want you to listen until the end. Please, don't turn away. You need to hear this. Because what I experienced isn't just a story. It's the truth. And I believe it can bring you hope. It was just an ordinary day. Morning coffee, rushing through hospital corridors, a complicated surgery, everything was as usual. I spent an hour in the operating room, completely focused, as if nothing else in the world existed but my patient. Everything went well, another life saved. I remember sitting in my office, leaning back in my chair, allowing myself to take a deep breath. I was tired, but with the fatigue came a sense of satisfaction. The work was done, and I felt like I had control over everything. Have you ever felt like you had complete control over your life? That's exactly how I felt. But just a few minutes later, that control slipped through my fingers like sand. Pain. Sharp, like a knife, it pierced my chest. So intense, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Everything around me slowed down. My heart pounded like a hammer and then, silence. I barely managed to grab the edge of the table, as if it could somehow hold me up. But my legs buckled, and I collapsed to the floor. I remember the faces of my colleagues hovering over me. Fear filled their eyes. These were the same eyes I had seen in my patients countless times, but now they were looking at me. I could hear their voices, muffled, as if coming through thick glass. Defibrillator. Hurry. We're losing her. They were my friends, my students. And they were fighting for me. And me? I'm a doctor. I knew what was happening. My mind recorded every second as my body stopped responding. I knew I was dying. My heart had stopped. Do you know what death feels like? No, it's not cold, not darkness. It's not pain. It's something else. You feel like you're stepping outside of everything familiar. I know because I experienced it. But what did I see beyond that line? It wasn't the end. Not at all. Jesus. Yes, it was him. The moment I saw him, all doubt vanished. His presence was surrounded by a light that cannot be described. It wasn't just bright, it was alive. That light enveloped me, reaching the deepest parts of my soul, wrapping me in a warmth I had never felt before. You might be thinking, how did she know it was Jesus? Couldn't it have been her imagination? But when you see him, there is no doubt. It's not knowledge of the mind, it's knowledge of the heart. His presence is unmistakable. It's like meeting someone you've always known, even if you've never seen them before. His eyes. I had never seen eyes like his. They didn't just look at me, they saw through me. They saw everything, my fears, my mistakes, my weaknesses, even the moments I wished to forget. And yet, what amazed me most was that there was no judgment in those eyes. No anger, no reproach. Only love. A love so pure, so unconditional, it filled my heart to the brim. He called me by name, Isabella. His voice wasn't like a human voice. It was everywhere, inside me and all around me, resonating with every fiber of my being. It wasn't just a sound, it was a force. Warm, enveloping, carrying peace. You have dedicated your life to saving others, he said. His words were simple, yet I felt their incredible depth. Now you will see how the Holy Spirit works in the world. I will show you 7 of his signs. You must tell people about them. As I listened, I felt no hesitation. It wasn't a request or a command. It was a message, a calling, that I knew I had to accept. I realized this was the moment I had been living for. Everything that had come before seemed like preparation for this encounter, for this mission. I couldn't say no. How could I refuse such love? Such light? I didn't speak a word, but deep in my soul, I agreed. The first vision completely captivated me. I stood and watched people who seemed utterly broken. Their faces reflected loneliness, despair, and pain. They weren't just sad, their souls looked as though they had lost all hope. I felt their suffering as though it were my own, and my heart ached for them. But then, I saw the Holy Spirit gently, almost imperceptibly, touch their lives. It was something indescribable, a warmth that enveloped them from within. Their eyes, filled with sorrow just moments ago, began to shine. Their shoulders, weighed down by the burdens of life, straightened. Their hearts, closed off and guarded by walls of pain, began to open, like flowers blooming in sunlight. And the love. That love washed over them. It erased their fears, soothed their doubts, and healed their wounds. It wasn't love that asked for anything in return. It simply was. It filled them completely, connecting them to something greater than themselves. I had never seen anything like it. This wasn't human love, it was love from God. All-encompassing, pure, and healing. Friends, don't we all long for this kind of love every single day? I stood there thinking, what if this love is available to all of us? What if it's always been here, and we've just been too blind to see it? Then, it hit me, the love of the Holy Spirit is a gift that's always near, waiting for us to open ourselves to it. The second vision was different but no less profound. I found myself in the middle of chaos. People were rushing, their faces filled with fear. Some were crying, others were shouting, some were fighting, but it was as if no one could find a way out. The chaos wasn't just around them, it was inside them, their thoughts were tangled, their hearts restless. It was a scene of complete despair. And then, the Holy Spirit appeared. His touch was soft, like a gentle breeze, yet it changed everything. The worry in their eyes disappeared. Their breathing slowed and became steady. Their faces, contorted with fear just moments earlier, now radiated calm. This wasn't just peace, it was an unshakable assurance that everything would be okay. That even in the darkest of moments, there was a light to guide them. I felt that peace within myself. It was like a quiet harbor after a violent storm, like a promise that nothing could ever break this harmony. I thought, how many times in my own life have I been overwhelmed by chaos? How many times have I searched for this peace and been unable to find it? If you've ever experienced a moment when fear melts away, leaving only a profound calm, know this, it was the Holy Spirit. This peace cannot be earned or achieved by effort. It can only be received. And it's always there, waiting to enter our hearts. The third vision was both vivid and deeply moving. I saw people who had lost everything. They sat alone, surrounded by shattered dreams and painful losses. Their faces were blank, as if life had left them entirely. I felt their pain as if it were my own. These were moments where it seemed nothing could ever be made right again. But then I saw the Holy Spirit enter their lives. It wasn't loud or sudden. It was like the soft light of dawn, slowly dispelling the darkness of night. At first, I noticed small changes. The corners of their mouths began to lift, their eyes came alive. Then, their faces lit up with joy. This joy was unlike anything we usually think of as happiness. It wasn't tied to external circumstances. It came from within, filling every corner of their souls. It was a joy that couldn't be taken away, a gift the Holy Spirit brought into their hearts. As I watched, I thought, aren't we all searching for this joy our entire lives? Don't we chase after happiness, thinking it's found in success, relationships, or achievements? But true joy has nothing to do with these things. It is a gift from God, one we receive when we allow the Holy Spirit into our lives. The next vision touched me deeply. I saw people in the midst of immense suffering. Some had lost loved ones, others lived in poverty, and some were battling severe illnesses. Their faces reflected struggle, fear, and at times, despair. Their hearts seemed on the verge of breaking. This was the kind of pain that drains the last ounce of strength, leaving only emptiness. And then the Holy Spirit came to them. His presence didn't take away their suffering immediately, but he gave them something extraordinary: patience. It was like a quiet yet unshakable certainty that everything would be made right in time. It was as if an inner voice was whispering, "Keep going. You are not alone. There is a reason, a purpose." I watched their faces begin to change. In their eyes, a spark of resilience appeared, a determination that they could endure their trials. This patience wasn't passive waiting. It was a strength to keep fighting, believing, and hoping, no matter what. It was something that couldn't be explained logically, it came from above. These images reminded me of my patients. Many of them went through unbearable pain and years of treatment, sometimes without any assurance of success. Yet they kept fighting, they never gave up. I had always marveled at their perseverance, and now I understood, their strength came from the Holy Spirit. It was He who gave them the patience that sustained them when everything seemed hopeless. The fifth vision filled me with warmth and light. I saw people performing acts of kindness. They were helping those in need, even strangers they had never met. These weren't grand gestures or public displays of charity. They were simple, genuine acts, someone sharing food with the hungry, comforting a crying child, or offering a shoulder to lean on for someone who couldn't take another step. These people weren't seeking gratitude or recognition. They gave freely, as if their kindness flowed naturally from their hearts. Their hearts were illuminated by the light. And that light came from the Holy Spirit. This kindness wasn't born of human will, it was a gift from God. I watched as these small acts transformed the lives of others. A single smile could restore faith in life. One outstretched hand could give someone the strength to carry on. This kindness not only helped others but also changed the hearts of those who gave it. They became closer to the light, closer to God. It reminded me how often we underestimate the power of a simple kind act. We think our small efforts won't make a difference. But every act of kindness, inspired by the Holy Spirit, can spark a miracle. This kindness is His gift, working through us to reach the world. I thought to myself, what if we all allowed the Holy Spirit to guide us? How much could the world change if we were open to such kindness? This vision wasn't just a revelation, it was an invitation to become a channel for His kindness. This vision was deeply personal. I saw myself. Not the confident, decisive doctor others were used to seeing, but a different version of me, a tired, doubting, and struggling woman. I saw moments when I felt completely alone, moments when I thought no one understood what I was going through. Moments when it felt like I was fighting all by myself, when God seemed so far away that my prayers felt meaningless. And then Jesus showed me how the Holy Spirit had been with me all along. I saw how His unseen presence had supported me, even when I thought there was no one to lean on. He had strengthened my faith when it was crumbling. He had been there, whispering hope into my heart when I stood on the edge of despair. The realization was overwhelming, I had never been alone. Even in my darkest moments, the Holy Spirit was with me, guiding me and giving me strength. Maybe you, too, feel like you've been left alone. Like no one understands your pain or fear. But I want to tell you, you are never alone. The Holy Spirit is always near. Even if you can't feel His presence, even if you doubt, He is still working in your life, strengthening your faith. Just trust in Him. The final vision was the most powerful of all. I saw people whose souls were bound by chains. These were chains of anger, resentment, and pain they had carried for years. I saw how these grudges ate away at them, how their anger suffocated them. It was a prison they had built from their own emotions. And then the Holy Spirit came. He touched their hearts, and the chains began to fall away. It wasn't instant, but with every step, they were set free. I saw them let go of their pain, their hearts filling with light. Forgiveness broke those chains, liberating their souls. It was like taking a fresh breath of air, like discovering a freedom they had never known before. I watched as the Holy Spirit helped people forgive even what seemed unforgivable. He gave them strength they didn't have on their own. And that forgiveness didn't just release others, it healed the ones who forgave. It was miraculous, faces twisted by anger softened, becoming calm and serene. They found peace. I stood there and thought, how often do we hold on to grudges, thinking we're protecting ourselves? But forgiveness is what truly sets us free. It doesn't justify what was done to us, but it releases our hearts from pain and creates space for peace and love. It was astounding. I realized forgiveness isn't a human strength. It's a gift from the Holy Spirit, given to us when we open our hearts to Him. Forgiveness is the key to freedom. When everything was over, Jesus said, "Now you know. Go back and tell people." And I returned. I woke up surrounded by my colleagues, who could barely believe they had managed to bring me back. But I knew, I was alive for a reason. I had a mission. And that mission was to share this with you. Friends, the Holy Spirit is near to each of us. His signs are everywhere. Look around you. Maybe you've already seen His work in your life. Thank you for listening to my story. May the love, peace, and strength of the Holy Spirit always be with you.